Look at my shirt. It's Jennifer Coolidge as the Statue of Liberty. You look like the 4th of July. Makes me want a hot dog real bad. We have Jennifer Coolidge in the house, everyone. My name is Joe, though, so hi. Today we have a book haul. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's mostly fantasy, but we do have like a little bit of a variety here, and Stephen King has his own section because I am obsessed with that man right now. I love that man. I love his books. I have never met that man before in my life. There's a hair. Get on out of here. Okay, so right on top we have Godkiller and Sunbringer by Hannah Kaner. I read these two. They were a lot of fun. They're not the most original books that I've ever read in my entire life, nor are they the most complex, but they're a whole lot of fun. They're super short, about gods who have been outlawed pretty much, and god killers are on the rise, and then there's this little girl who is in some way tied to a specific little god, and she meets up with a god killer, and they go on a quest to find out a way to separate the little girl and her little god. I listened to the audiobooks of these. Audiobooks are great. Audiobooks are great. I listened to the audiobooks of these, but I just had to have them. I mean, look at the covers. They're just beautiful. So I got them. Next, we have The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. I had these grand plans of reading through the Cosmere this year. I read The Final Empire a couple of months ago. I have a review up for that book on my channel. If you want to go and check that out, I'll have it linked. But I also bought The Well of Ascension. I tried to start it, but there's just something about this series that worked for me so well when I first read them, but trying to get back into them, it's a little bit difficult. So I'm waiting for the audiobook from my library, but I do love these covers. I just love the colors. They look like a classical painting, and the UK paperback versions that I have are so hard to read. They're just so hard to read, and I'm not going to put myself through that torture for a second time. So, books 4 and 5 in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series by Matt Denman. These books are fantastic. There is a massive, page increase between book 3 and book 4, and even in book 4 to book 5. These books are massive. I mean, they're just huge. They're funny. They're kind of crude and gross, and there's a lot of action and gore, but there's also some very heartwarming moments, and I even shed a tear in book 3, so I'm really excited to get back into this series when I get back in the mood for them, because I do think that I have to be in a very specific type of mood to read these books because of all of the action and all of the gore and all of the humor, and, you know, I just have to be in that sort of mood, and I just haven't been in that sort of mood lately, but I do love these covers as well, so I got those. Boom. Next, we have Ken Follett's Pillars of the Earth. I don't know who I am holding this in my hand. I have no idea who I think I am, but I bought this because everybody in the fantasy community has been just going crazy for this. I mean, there was a point where throughout my subscription feed, it was just like every other day somebody was talking about Pillars of the Earth by Ken Follett, and so I bought it. I was convinced. The only thing that I know about it is it's about these dudes trying to build a church, and apparently that is the most riveting story that some people have ever read in their life. I don't know how, but I do know that fantasy fans are just absolutely going crazy for this book this year, and so I bought it. I'm looking forward to reading it, especially since I'm going through the first book in the Warlord Chronicles by Bernard Cornwell. I don't know if that's in any way, shape, or form like this at all, but I do know that that one's more of like a historical fiction, historical fantasy. It has sort of a drier writing style. It's very political, so I'm hoping that this is going to kind of be in the same vein. It might not even be in the same wheelhouse. I might just be talking out of my ass right now. I don't know what I'm talking about most of the time. We know that here. But I got that. And then next I got Kindred by Octavia E. Butler. This is one of my favorite books that I've read this year. Historical fiction, sci-fi, time travel novel about this woman named Dana who is thrust back in time to the antebellum South. We all know what happened in the antebellum South, and Dana has to deal with that while also simultaneously trying to keep this little boy named Rufus alive, Rufus being the son of a slave owner. It's one of the most dark and gritty books that I've ever read, but it's also one of the most beautiful books that I've ever read. Next, I have the first Harry Potter book in these editions. What are they? Mina Lima editions. They're the pop-up editions. I have Beauty and the Beast in this edition somewhere on my shelves. I'm not seeing it right now, but I know that it exists. I reread the Harry Potter series this year, and it just reawakened my love for the series, and just the amount of magic and childhood love that I have for Harry and the gang. It's just reawakened. It's reawakened the magic in my heart, and so I got this, and it's just beautiful. I mean, it's illustrated, of course, but also there are these pop-up sections where, you know, you can interact with the book itself. It's just so cool. And then here, like, there's a piece of paper in it, obviously, but here's like, oh my god, it's just so cool. And I love these editions. I think they're so fun to interact with, and I can't wait to read this edition for probably my next read of Harry Potter, because I never thought that I would reread this series. I read it once when I was 10 years old. I loved it, obviously, as every 10-year-old does. I never thought that I would reread it as an adult, but it called me back to my childhood, man. It called me straight back, and I love it. I love it so much. So next we have Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. This is the Chiltern Classics edition. I love these. I mean, the next time I buy a classic, it's gonna be in these editions because they're short, they're cute. It's got these gold edges as well, and the paper quality is just insane. It's not like paper, it's shiny paper. So if you don't like shiny paper, kind of like what they put in comic books and graphic novels, it's that kind of paper. If you don't like that kind of paper, this might not be for you, but it is for me, and I really like this edition. I do have a review for Wuthering Heights on my channel. If you want to go and check that out, I'll have it linked. Okay, we have This Could Be Us by Kennedy Ryan. I read this a couple of months ago. Unfortunately, it didn't work for me, but I do love this cover. I think it's beautiful, and I will probably end up reading the next books in the series. I think there might be one more coming out, but I probably will be reading that because I like Kennedy Ryan. This one specifically just didn't work for me. The Friend Zone and Life's Too Short, both by Abby Jimenez, and Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. Can you see it? But let's talk about these two real quick. So this is the first and the third book in, I think it's just called the Friend Zone series. I'm not 100% positive, but they were on sale, so I bought them both. The Friend Zone, if you've seen my mid-year check-in video, obviously it didn't work for me, and I need to probably take the time to create a Pango Books account. This one, I'm still gonna give it a shot. The Friend Zone just didn't work for me. I did start this one very briefly, but I was just not in a romance mood, so I just didn't continue. I didn't get very far into it, but it wasn't irking me as much as the Friend Zone. And then we have Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez, which I did really like. This is book 3 in her Part of Your World trilogy, and I really like that one. If you guys are interested in Abby Jimenez, definitely check out the Part of Your World trilogy and leave the Friend Zone in the dust. Okay, next we have probably my most shameful purchase, because I purchased it months ago with every intention of reading it like soon after I purchased it, but I still have not. I have such a block in my brain for this book because Crescent City is just not my favorite, right? But I am a fan of her other series. I did like them. But because of some events in book 2, I am curious to see where the book goes. I don't know if I can do this. I might just have to get the audiobook for this because it's over 800 pages. Maybe I need to buddy read this with somebody. I don't know. Next, I have Neon Ghosts by Daniel Green. I did back the Kickstarter for this book, and you kind of got to back a Kickstarter from a fellow booktuber. You know, the boy is following his dreams, you know, and I'm all for that. This is a sci-fi book. I've not read it yet. I am excited to read it. When will I read it? I don't know, but I'm eager to see what Mr. Green has in his wheelhouse in terms of writing. So, Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb. I read the Farseer trilogy, I think it was last year at this point. I've been meaning to continue on with, you know, obviously the second sub-series in the Realm of the Elderlings, aka Ship of Magic, for a while now. I think I'm going to be reading this sooner rather than later because I'm getting back into my high fantasy mood. I've had kind of like a weird relationship with high fantasy the past couple of months, but I feel like I'm getting back into it. The Live Ship Traders trilogy is one of a lot of people's favorites in the Realm of the Elderlings, so I'm interested to get into it. So we shall see. We shall see. I also, within the past couple of months, got off of the waiting list for the Broken Binding, and I'm so glad that I did. I'm so excited to have these. We have The Lies of Loch Lamora by Scott Lynch. We have The Republic of Thieves by, no, that's wrong order. Lies of Loch Lamora, Red Seas Under Red Skies, and then Republic of Thieves. So these are beautiful. I mean, the Broken Binding does such an amazing job with special editions, and I have been so envious of people's shelves who have these editions for so long, and I'm so excited to have them. I mean, they're just beautiful. So I am really excited to reread The Lies of Loch Lamora, continue with Red Seas Under Red Skies, and then go on to Republic of Thieves, especially since I have these beautiful, gorgeous editions. So yeah. Super excited about those. And then last but not least, I have my Stephen King section of the video. First off, we have Gerald's Game, which if you watched my mid-year freak out situation, I might as well just link that video at this point because I've talked about it a couple times. Anyway, you watched that, you know that this one didn't really work for me, but I am going to keep it because I just like the cover, so I'm going to keep it. Next, we have Gunslinger, which is book 1 in the Dark Tower series. This is like Stephen King's fantasy metaverse situation. I've seen this series on so many top 10 fantasy series of all time videos, as well as a lot of people will have at least one of the books from the Dark Tower series on their top 10 Stephen Kings of all time, and so I just had to get a copy of this. I'm kind of nervous to read it because from what people have said as well, you know, a lot of people either love it or hate it, and it's a little bit difficult to get into, but it's a pretty short book, so I think I can do it. I think we can do it. Under the Dome, which is aliens, I'm pretty sure. Something about a dome, I don't know, but she's a brick. She's a brick. I got this on recommendation from my in-house Stephen King specialist, my mother, and I'm very excited to get to it. It's probably going to be one of the next Stephen King books that I read. I'm currently reading Cujo, by the way. I just started it last night, but it's probably going to be one of the next ones that I read. It's absolutely massive. Next we have Dreamcatcher by Stephen King. This is aliens. I just finished this one last week. I'm going to have a review up for it on Wednesday, so stay tuned for that if you're interested. This is aliens. This is Stephen King's Aliens. This is my first experience with Mr. King's Aliens. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Next, we have The Shining by Stephen King. I owned this one previously. I unhauled it. That unhauled book got put on my mother's shelf because she didn't want me to get rid of it. And so I have now acquired it back from my mother. So technically, this book has been hauled, unhauled, and rehauled. This is the rehaul of The Shining. I loved this one. And then the last book for this haul is my favorite book of the year, Revival. If you like books that are following characters throughout multiple decades of their life, if you like religious corruption, if you like questions about the universe, if you like cosmic horror, read this one. So those are all of the books that I bought within the last couple of months. I am literally sweating. I feel like I have a ferret on my neck at this current moment in time, but it doesn't matter. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to join the NotSoAverageJo army. We are still making some questionable financial decisions, but I'm getting better at it, okay? I'm getting better at it. Don't worry about it. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Me and Jennifer Coolidge are out, baby. We're out.